Coming up live at 7, we're following 2 breaking stories tonight.
A man killed after opening fire on police barracks and a former professor arrested on bribery charges. What we know.
Plus, we have the answer you've all been waiting for. The winner of Mr. Siena coming up soon.
Plus, Ryan Hall caught fire. Here's what we know.
And the tariffs placed by President Trump are in full effect. Here's how it affects you.
And many events are happening to help serve the Siena community. We'll take you outside with the Siena men's soccer.
And looking to move your body for a good cause, how you can register.
And are you interested in behind-the-scenes action of Siena athletics? We sit down with the man in charge. SCTV Live at 7 begins right now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Jonathan O'Neill.
And I'm Matthew DeVincentis. We begin tonight with breaking news out of Malta.
According to state police, a man opened fire on state police barracks on Route 9 just hours ago. Police say the man used a high-powered rifle. Troops returned fire, which struck and killed the shooter. Police have not yet disclosed his identity, but their investigation is still active and ongoing. We're also following breaking news in northern New York. A former SUNY Canton professor was just arrested on 8 counts of bribery.
New York State Police arrested Rajiv Narula. State Police report that Narula was accepting bribes from students in exchange for higher grades. Narula was released from SUNY Canton back in May of 2023 following allegations related to this arrest.
Even students expressed concerns about Narula's behavior. 4 years ago, a student shared this to Narula's Rate My Professor profile, and I quote, "The final project requires you to literally buy a grade. Either donate money to an environmental charity or take a 15% deduction on your final grade. This is wildly inappropriate, especially for poor college kids." The state police are still currently investigating this case.
Moving on to major stories happening here on campus, the long-awaited Siena show occurred this past Saturday in the Marcel Athletics Complex.
Your 2025 Mr. Siena winner was senior Patrick Lenahan. After 4 years of being involved with the show, Lenahan now holds the title of Mr. Siena. The proceeds from the pageant all go back to Habitat for Humanity. The ties of Mr. Siena run deep, as we hear from former title holder and host Luke Keith.
It gets better and better every year. When I first came here, it was awesome. I mean, we had the COVID show, but every year, like the year before I started it, it was great. I was like, I have to be in that. My year was phenomenal, and then this year blew us out of the park.
Who would have thought the real show was President Chuck Seifert taking off his pants on stage? Certainly a surprising way to conclude the 2025 Mr. Siena campaign. The event took many months of preparation and hard work to ensure the Siena tradition lives on. Mr. Siena 2025 has set the bar high for the following years to come. There was a fire inside the Ryan Hall laundry room Sunday afternoon. Siena College Public Safety tells us the fire originated in one of the dryers.
We're told the fire safety systems consisting of alarms, and sprinklers helped contain the fire. The Colony and Loudonville fire departments responded quickly, preventing any injuries from occurring. Students were forced to evacuate the building, but the Sazerain Student Union and Launchroom Dining Hall served as waiting areas for the evacuated students. It was hours before they were allowed back in Ryan Hall. And with the fire in Ryan Hall, the topic of fire safety has become a concern on campus.
SCTV's Matt Coloma takes us to the Shaker Road Loudonville Firehouse to learn about ways to keep Siena safe.
After the fire alarm was set off, fire trucks rushed to campus this past weekend in regards to a fire inside of Ryan Hall. The culprit? This dryer in the laundry room. And while the fire is still being investigated, it has raised questions on what students should do if this were to happen again. So to learn more about fire safety, I came to the Shaker Road Loudonville Fire Department to hear about ways we can help keep campus fire-free. Located about 5 minutes from campus, the Shaker Road Loudonville Fire Department has been serving Siena for decades now, with Chief Eric Brazel leading the way. I'll let him tell you about his experience.
I have been in the Chief's office for 4 years now, but I joined the department in 1988.
Now, in regards to the laundry room, what does a fire chief think is the most important step of cleaning your drawers?
Lint traps are definitely very important to be cleaned out all the time. It doesn't properly allow the air to flow through if the lint traps aren't cleaned out, and that holds the heat inside the dryer, and that could be part of the problem what the fire was. It's still under investigation. We're not sure. It's definitely very important.
And not all fires stem from the laundry room, which is why Siena has a very extensive and often ignored fire code.
The biggest part I would say with the fire code is obviously the safety for the students. If the alarm's going off, always think that there is a fire and make sure you get out of the building as quick as you can until we determine what's going on. Be careful if you have toasters and other things plugged into power strips. They can get overloaded easy and that can start a fire. Safety around your stoves. Empty pizza boxes while you're cooking, they can get too hot. Any of that stuff can start a fire. And make sure your fire extinguishers, if you do have them, are working, and your smoke detectors as well.
So if you're not going to read the fire code, listen to a fire chief, as it's partly our job to keep campus safe. For SCTV, I'm Matt Coloma.
Thanks, Matt. We're following national breaking news. President Trump has rescinded several of his tariffs today after days of stock market turbulence.
This comes after many have expressed concerns over price increases. Prices for many goods are expected to rise, if they haven't already. Among these products, groceries, technology, automobiles, and more. The Budget Lab at Yale University reports that the tariffs could cost the average household $3,800. Foreign countries are expected to respond.
After much anticipation, Siena's rendition of Twelfth Night returns tomorrow.
William Shakespeare's Twelfth Night is a fast-paced comedy with some unexpected romance. The show premiered on Thursday and was brought on throughout the rest of the weekend.
A lot of crowd interaction, like so much. And honestly, you should expect to be ready to be part of the show. You know, it's not just us on stage like a traditional play where you're just sitting and you're quiet and you're watching. Like, be prepared to laugh, be prepared to interact, be prepared to cheer, hold stuff. Just, you're all in it. We're all in it.
If you want to be in it, you're in luck. The Performing Arts program is holding more shows starting tomorrow and spanning until Saturday. All the shows will begin at 8 p.m. You can purchase your tickets by going to www.siena.edu/creativeartstickets. Siena held its Siena Serves event. Siena Serves is a campus-wide service event.
Saturday morning, there were several on-campus and off-campus service opportunities for students to take part in. Transportation was provided to those heading off campus. Students took the time to clean up campus and show their appreciation to the community. For those of you that missed out this weekend, Siena Serves will be returning in the fall, so keep an eye out. Siena recently held its Unity Week. This year's theme was Cultural Appreciation.
Saints were encouraged to celebrate their unique talents, perspectives, and cultures. Students also had the chance to participate in a passport contest with prizes for the winners. This all led to the main event. Siena unveiled a Haudenosaunee flag, a symbol of unity and peace, which now hangs in the SSU. Along with this, there was also a land acknowledgement for several indigenous groups. The American Sign Language Club held a movie night.
Over the weekend, the club decided on the movie Coda, a 2021 coming-of-age comedy drama film. The event also featured free refreshments such as mac and cheese bites, boneless buffalo wings, and soda. All students were welcome to attend. As the future of the ASL programs on campus hang in the balance, events like this are more important than ever for those students in need of some comfort. Siena College is hosting an Out of the Darkness walk this Friday at noon in the Nigro Plaza.
The Student Life Office is working with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. The walk is designed to encourage young adults to fight to prevent suicide. The AFSP is looking to raise $10,000 for the cause. You can sign up for the walk or donate to this cause by visiting afsp.org/Siena.
The Asian Student Association hosted their Squid Game Season 2 event last night in the SSU.
The event was from 7 to 9 p.m. Attendees had the chance to play games inspired by the hit Korean show. There were other traditional Asian games being played as well. Students competed for the chance to win various different prizes. Are you an avid reader? Do you enjoy true crime?
Siena College welcomed a New York Times bestselling author to campus to promote her latest release. SCTV's Noah Kime takes us to meet Lauren Willig.
Attention all true crime enthusiasts. New York Times best-selling author and writer Lauren Willis visited Siena Standish Library to speak with students and members of the Loudonville community about her newest release, The Girl from Greenwich Street. The novel tells the story of America's first murder trial and provides readers with a story of American history with an emphasis on the macabre. Willis took time to answer audience questions throughout regarding her newest books, along with what it's like being a writer and author. Copies of Lauren's new novel were available for purchase throughout the event, and attendees were even given the opportunity to get their copies signed by Lauren. The event was coordinated by Siena English Literature professor Stacy Deering. SCTV spoke with her to learn more about her relationship with Lauren and why she was the perfect fit to come speak to the Siena community.
She's so vibrant and easy to talk to. She's researching really interesting projects, and she's just a really warm person who can talk about the value of research, the role it plays in writing, how to overcome struggles in writing, and she's just a lot of fun, and students seem to enjoy hearing what she has to say.
Lauren will be back on campus this October to give a presentation on the art of the paranormal and horror in literature. Deering hopes to continue hosting events similar to this one and encourages students and members of the public to get involved. Reporting with SCTV, I'm Noah Khan.
Thanks, Noah. Still to come, SCTV's own Dan Layton sits down with George Fellows, the digital media manager for Siena Athletics.
Plus, Olivia Hink and Poppy Rowland round out this year's March Madness and brings us the latest in sports.
And here's a look at the closing numbers from Wall Street, a major bounce back on Wall Street after President Trump announced the 90-day pause on most reciprocal tariffs.
Welcome back. Ever wondered what it's like to work for ESPN? Well, now students have the chance. Today I'm joined by the digital media manager for the Siena College Athletics office, George Fellows, who is the man that does it all behind the scenes. George, how's it going? Thank you for joining us.
Dan, how you doing?
Doing all right, doing all right. So Just to start off with the students having the opportunity to work on campus, how long have students had this opportunity?
Since the school purchased the Frank and Sheila Ambrose, Media Center, which is basically a TV studio on wheels. Purchased about 7 years ago, and that that trailer that allows us to go out and do live coverage of games. And so to produce those games, we need folks to operate the equipment, and that is made up of between a mix of freelancers, professional freelancers, and students. So students have been doing this for perhaps 7, 8 years now.
So you've been working in production for almost your full adult life now. Where were you before you started working at Siena?
So before I worked at Siena. For a long time, I worked for the local cable company, Time Warner Cable at that time, and we used to produce live sports coverage of local athletics here in the capital region. So all the colleges, Siena included. We used to also do studio programs, much like you're doing right here, right now. And we'd have it was a weekly college basketball coaches show. So Siena's coaches would come to our studio. We'd recap the games that they had, and look at the games to come. So that's my foundation, more or less, in sports production, producing those live games, and also doing some in-studio stuff as well.
So we mentioned that students working on campus, working in the truck, sorry. How can students get involved? How can they reach out to you to show their interest?
So there's 2 ways that students can get involved. We're certainly looking for folks who are passionate about sports first off. So, the most common way for someone to, for a student to be involved is to take one of the classes that, Siena offers here. For example, right now, I have students that are working with me that are taking Kelly O'Donnell's sports production class. And as part of, the requirements for that class, they have to participate in 6 of the athletic productions. So 3 ESPN productions and 3 of our all access productions. There are other courses as well that you can take. There's a practicum, and that's even more involved. And the more you're able to get hands on the equipment, the better you're gonna get over the course of a semester. Yeah. So
yeah. What's been the most rewarding experience working with students? You've been in the professional field, now you're sort of teaching and being more of a mentor. What's that been like?
Yeah, like I say, as you see students develop their skills over the course of a semester, some years, it's very rewarding to see them, make a positive contribution, to the production, where they're, starting perhaps, a little shaky on camera, and over the course of a semester, they're following action, they're zooming in on hero shots, they're elevated their game, so to speak, you know what I'm saying, over the course of a semester, and it's just fantastic to see that.
Yeah. George, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us for Live at 7. Thank you.
You're welcome, Dan.
If you want to watch this full interview after the show, you'll be able to find it on the Siena College Communications YouTube channel. You can also find the interview on the SCTV Instagram at sienacollege.tv. Make sure you follow and subscribe while you're there. When we return, state police catch an Ogdensburg resident who was 3D printing gun accessories. Plus, a fatal crash held up traffic right around the corner. What we know next.
Latham Circle off Route 9 was closed this week following a fatal pedestrian crash.
The incident occurred around 5 a.m. Monday morning. Colony police responded to the scene to find that a vehicle hit a woman in the roadway. The Colony police say first responders performed CPR on Felipa Martinez Garcia. Despite their best efforts, Martinez Garcia passed away at the scene. Colony police report that the driver involved is cooperating with the investigation. An upstate New York police officer will not be facing charges after the killing of a 13-year-old boy.
Attorney General Letitia James made the announcement last week. Officer Patrick Husney shot and killed Niam Way back in June. Way and a friend had fled from Husney after he believed they were linked to a robbery. Police state that Way pointed a BB gun in the direction of Officer Husney. Husney responded with a single shot to his chest. A man was shot and killed with a BB gun by his roommate.
A Saratoga man has been accused of murdering his roommate with a pellet gun Sunday at their home on Warren Street. Saratoga Springs police responded to the scene where they found 26-year-old Brendan Carl shot and killed his roommate Michael Collins. Carl has been charged with manslaughter in the second degree and criminal possession of a weapon in the fourth degree. The Saratoga Springs police reported that the incident is still under investigation. New York State police have made an arrest in a 6-month-long ghost gun investigation.
Ogdenburg resident Patrick Murphy was charged with criminal possession of a firearm in the first, third, and fourth degree. State police say they executed a search warrant on Murphy's home on April 3rd and found 10 ghost guns along with a 3D printer and numerous 3D printed high-capacity magazines. The investigation is still ongoing and more charges are expected. Still to come, Siena Sports on SCTV.
Poppy Rowland and Olivia Hink take us to the dog pound.
March Madness came to a close this week with a familiar face leading the charge. We'll take you to Monday's national championship game.
Plus, Siena softball hits the diamond to take on Sacred Heart. How they fared in their doubleheader next. Welcome to the Dog Pound. I'm Olivia Hink.
And I'm Poppy Ruland. Let's check out this week's top stories.
We'll start on the Diamond, where the Siena softball team extended their win streak to 4 in a row this weekend. The Saints hosted a doubleheader with the Sacred Heart Pioneers for some conference action over the weekend. Alyssa Imont took the mound for Game 1 and gave up only 2 hits. RBIs came from Gianna DeMeglio and Mackenzie Swinson as Siena picks up the 3-1 victory. Game 2 was a higher scoring affair. The Saints scored 5 runs in 1 inning with a huge homer from pinch hitter Callie DeLauder. The Pioneers responded with 5 runs of their own, but senior pitcher Casey Kennedy held on to the lead for a clutch 2 innings to secure the win. Final score from Siena softball field is 6-5, and the Saints improve to 5th in the MAC. What's better than one Siena lacrosse program record? 2 of them. Senior Grace Dobrinsky already has the all-time assist record, but she etched her name into the history books for the 2nd time this weekend. She became the all-time leading point scorer off a free position goal in the 3rd quarter. the 228th point of her career. Dobrinsky's big day helped the Saints to a narrow 7-6 win over Sacred Heart as the Saints get back to 500 in conference play.
Many fans were disappointed when this year's men's basketball bracket came down to the 4 number 1 seeds, saying that the transfer portal is making it too hard for small schools to have Cinderella runs. Well, this year's national champs had a dose of mid-major influence on the roster. Florida star guard Walter Clayton Jr. played his first 2 seasons at Iona long before being named 2025's tournament's most outstanding player. On Monday night, the former MAC player had his one shining moment on the biggest stage in college hoops. Clayton Jr. struggled to find his rhythm early, but scored all 11 of his points in the second half to help the Gators come back from a double-digit deficit against Houston. Taking a final possession now, with Houston threatening to tie or take the lead, Clayton made a clutch defensive stop to steal the Florida's 65-63 victory. With Richard led the team in scoring with 18 points, but it was Clayton's late-game heroics that stole the spotlight and earned Florida their first major national title since 2007.
Women's basketball phenom Paige Beckers had been to the Final Four every year that she suited up at UConn, but she's never been able to call herself a national champion. The senior had one final chance this weekend against reigning champion South Carolina. The 2 powerhouse programs faced off in the 2022 championship, with South Carolina coming away victorious. Would Beckers and the Huskies avenge that loss, or would the Gamecocks repeat history? The first 5 minutes were an offensive explosion for both teams, but Coach Gino Auriemma's squad found their groove in the second half, behind a huge performance from the big 3 of Beckers, AZ Fudd, and Sarah Strong. Final score would be 82-59. Beckers would finish with 17 points and become the leading tournament scorer in UConn history. She'll head to the WNBA draft on Monday, where she'll likely be the number 1 overall pick, but not before finally getting to cut down the net in Tampa, the perfect way to turn the page from college to the pros.
895 was the magic number for 30-plus years, but on Sunday night, Washington Capitals captain Alex Ovechkin broke Wayne Gretzky's goal record during a matchup against the Islanders at UBS Arena. The historic goal came in the second period, a signature power play strike from the left face-off circle, reminiscent of many throughout his illustrious 20-season career. Despite the Capitals falling 4-1, the night belonged to Ovechkin, who was celebrated on the ice by teammates, family, and NHL legends, including Gretzky himself. At 39 years old, Ovechkin's relentless pursuit of excellence has defined goal scoring in hockey, solidifying his legacy as one of the game's greats.
That'll do it for this week's edition of Dog Pound. I'm Olivia Hink.
And I'm Poppy Ruland. Jonathan, Matt, back to you.
Thanks, guys. Still to come, one of tonight's producers just made school history. Find out what for. Siena's softball team had a doubleheader today. The Saints swept the Merrimack Warriors. SCTV's own Kenzie Swinson became the all-time program leader in stolen bases.
Swinson now sits at a 57 career stolen bases. Kenzie is also the co-producer of this newscast. Congratulations, Kenzie.
And that'll do it for SCTV Live at 7.
Have a good night.
All-time stolen bases.